Back on Primetime Local News with Bobcats head coach and GM Nigel Dube. A couple of things just to look back at the past season you had. Obviously, it was a rebuilding year once the decision was made to bring you in as head coach and GM, and then further on your decision to trade some of the older guys on the team, the leadership group essentially, to spots where they had a chance to compete for a championship. And yet you still had a few bright spots on the roster during the year. One of which was Mason Waite getting named to the All-Rookie team.
Yeah, and I think that was, Mason came here as a young guy that got put into the situations that maybe on a deeper team you might not have those, but he flourished in those areas with the opportunity, and I think that was part of it too for other guys too, our young guys that got those experiences as the stretch went down with the trades and whatnot that transpired there is that they got put in those opportunities, and Mason did a good job of it. When I got here, we started doing video with him and different parts and teaching points that we needed to that opened up his eyes a little bit more of things that he was habits and how to change those, and to have the ability to have the video and the resources to teach these guys, which we brought in early December, help their games within the game, and that was a big piece and a good highlight for Mason himself as well as his teammates.
Do you expect Mason, and I guess with a couple of the other young guys, expect them to take on bigger roles this year, or just to continue to develop?
Well, continue to develop, but also take on bigger roles. Kind of in that last 2 weeks of the season, everybody got put into different situations, and it was, no secret to the players. It was a tryout, right? You're going to get some power play time. You're going to get penalty kill time. Our guys that usually weren't penalty killers were put into those situations to see how they could handle them. And see if they were, if they fit that role. Are you a PK guy? Are you a guy that creates on the power play? What are you? So to see those guys now go into the off season and the ones that return of how they handle their new role, or the expectations are going to be bigger and greater for them to continue to move forward and develop within that.
You hopefully got a chance. I know you were busy enjoying some of the sun recently, but you hopefully got a chance to watch a little bit of the AJHL playoff picture over the last month or so. Have you kind of caught up on that, or no?
Yeah, well, the good part nowadays with technology is work never ends, and wherever you go, I'm a guy that continues. So if there's a hockey game and I go on a holiday, I find a hockey game to go to. So, it's one of those where I followed along with it. And I think a big piece, and I've said this to many people now, is you tune in, but it gives you a little bit of the hunger because you want to be in those situations rather than watching that. And even from the day one of the playoffs, so that was the feeling. Was to we should be there. It's something I'm not used to. It was the first time as a coach or as a player that I was never part of a playoff picture. This is a first this year, and from our organization, from an individual standpoint, we don't want that to be a repeat. And I think the work that goes in, but our league's doing good things. Our league is moving forward, and the playoff picture, brings that exposure to the Alberta Junior Hockey League.
And a little bit of exposure for Lloyd, despite the Bobcats being out of the playoffs, obviously, with TJ Lloyd getting the accolades he got, as well as competing well in the playoffs with his Spruce Grove Saints. Thanks again, Coach, for coming in and visiting with us and catching us up on the season. So remember, everyone, this Friday morning is when spring camp will start for the Bobcats. And, of course, tune into Bucky and the Gang tomorrow. Tuesday night sports show will be on in the evening there, live from the Canadian Brew House. As always, a great panel of guests. And, very excited for this upcoming season. So look forward to chatting with you again soon. Enjoy the rest of the cast on Primetime Local News.